You know, a lot of times we always look at the problem and say, oh, if people just stop using drugs, they could just get some self-control. You know, and stop doing that. We said some kind of character defect, because the problem is always put on the individual in our society. That if somebody was just stronger and just make a different choice, that somehow the drugs wouldn't be there in their bodies and in their hearts and in their minds, you know? But the thing is, you live in these communities, and we're going to see it, that you realize that the drugs are not there in people's bodies because they're morally defective. It's not because they're damaged goods.
My mother died when I was 16. I didn't get along with my father at the time. I left home at 18, you know, and thought I could get a job after high school. I graduated with honors. I mean, I've never done drugs in my life, but my life has been deeply affected by drugs. I don't know anybody who hasn't had their life somehow affected by drugs. Me personally, Junior is a recovering addict, and that's been really hard.
I can't hardly describe. It's unavoidable. Once you make up your mind that you want to use, it doesn't matter what, you will go and use. You will have no regard for anyone.
After I found out that he was doing crack, I gave an ultimatum. Either you go get help, or you never see this child. You will not be here when it's born, and I will never have anything to do with you. And he did. He went right into rehab.
Came out to poverty, came out to being homeless still, and came out to streets where anywhere you went, you'll find drugs.
Junior grew up poor, and that comes with a lot of baggage. Baggage that I never had.
You don't want to accept this. The blame is put on you all the time. Just say you're poor, you're homeless, it's your fault. So I started using to try to escape the reality of poverty, homelessness, and so on.
I am so hurt and so angry every time that he picks up and uses it. I love him and I hate him at the same time.
Let's say I have money and I'm supposed to pay rent. Instead of paying rent, I will use that money to use drugs.
And then I also have a larger consciousness that tells me that it isn't only him. It's not an individual responsibility. A 14-year-old kid did not make a decision to become a drug addict.
I was lucky enough to go into a program because I had to actually take some pills, okay, like I was committing suicide in order for them to accept me.
And even a 36-year-old man does not make the decision that he cannot get quality health care to get quality rehabilitation, that the programs aren't available for him.
It's a shame that you have to do things like that, but if you just go into a program saying, look, I need help, if you don't have insurance, you're screwed. They will turn you down instantly. You have to go to welfare and go do this, and if you don't qualify, you're out. And there's thousands of people in the same situation.
What he does hurts me in a real personal way. And I don't have the answer. I don't have the answer for him. I don't have the answer for me. I don't have the answer for my children.
People don't realize that healthcare and addiction, they go one-on-one.
And I've told you this, and I'll tell anybody who's on drugs, every time they get a hit, they let the system win. Every day they stay clean, they're defying the system that wants to control all of us.
We know, we realize what the things that we do. What we don't understand is why we keep doing them. You know, and we want to find a way out. And the only way out, it will be help for mental health and health care. And if we don't get neither one of them, how are we going to make it out?
I am going to create some consciousness in every person who wants to recover. That it's not just about their individual recovery. It's about recovering a community.
in order for people to be able to get clean, you can't go back to a situation where you were homeless and just free of drugs. You need to be able to go back to a place to live, which is an economic human right. You need to be able to go back and have food, which is an economic human right. You need to be able to have, the basic necessities of life, all protected by economic human rights, all systematically violated by the U.S. government. Right now, we're going towards New Jerusalem Recovery House. This will be the last stop for our friends from New Jerusalem, brothers and sisters. One of the things I want to say is that New Jerusalem is unique. New Jerusalem actually believes this not only in a political way, but they believe this in a spiritual way, like rebuilding people from the inside, rebuilding people to know what they deserve as people on this planet. And so we really share a certain special camaraderie with this organization, and we're going to go see what they're all about right now.
Hi, how are you doing? Does everyone have a chair? We have more in the other room. Would you like to bring it in? I would say recovery is really something that everyone needs, but we're specifically speaking of recovery from addictions, and mostly from drug and alcohol. And one starts to look at the world and some of the systems that are so deadly in the person's possibilities. For example, if someone has been convicted of a felony for possessing a certain amount of ounces of crack cocaine, they will receive no aid, financial aid, during that time. American society, at least, is so individualistic. What's the antidote for individualism but community? And I've lived in a religious community over 45 years, and we're pretty honest with each other, but I've never heard the level of honesty that I have heard in the recovery community. And I've never seen also the level of compassion. When a brother or a sister is really hurting, everything stops. When someone says, "Are all hearts and minds clear?" and we've been sitting at a meeting for 3 hours, and it's Thursday night, and people have been working, some people have gone to work at 4, whether you feel like it or you don't feel like it, and someone says no, we all sit back down, and we listen to that person. We say, we have faith. Well, faith in what? I'm always asking people, in whom? I say we have faith in life, whatever it is. And especially if it's difficult. If one's past has been extremely painful, is that the last word? If one believes in life? I don't think so. And though I don't think I would be as courageous as many of our people, I do believe that's true. And I have received far more than I have ever given the years that I've been here. Far more. And it's the most exciting place I have ever worked, And not only do I work, I'm part of the community. Thank you.
And so just want to remember that this is a worldwide, nationwide, every city in America problem. It isn't, a lot of people like to say it's only in certain places, but then that just really reinforces a lot of stereotypes that are untrue. One of the things we want people to understand from this tour is that there's over 3 billion people living in poverty worldwide, and 70 to 80 million people who are living in poverty or close to poverty in the United States. And what we want people to understand is the only way with such a tremendously huge problem to solve it is to build a movement in this country, build a movement to end poverty and end these economic human rights violations. And part of that is the right to recovery and the right to health care, and that people need, if they're going to make it out there in the world trying to get off of drugs or recover their communities, there needs to be social support set in there. And we can't end the drug war without ending the root cause of it, and we really do feel like it's poverty.
When people can't feed like their families and stuff like that, they do a lot of irrational things as far as selling drugs, robbing, prostitution, you name it. And that's how people are able to say, oh, I'm not just going to sit back and lay down and just die. Like, I'm not going to just sit here and wait for President Bush or somebody to say, okay, we're going to come and pass a new law so to ensure that everybody got a, some type of way of eating. Because, if the people waited on that, you're starved to death in your house.
My name is Willie Baptist. I'm from the Kensington Welfare Rights Union. I'm formerly homeless, and you're watching the Guerrilla News Network. All right, bro.